Hello, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. So I'm back here. This is basically the second video of the reason why it's been 2 weeks. I was like, make sure, I'd say 2 weeks, it's been a month since the previous set of videos. But that's why I was like, let's try and make sure I have at least two, keep my 2 week average. Let's just dive in to these more stories again. So first off, we have a Harry Potter story. Shocker, I know. With Jamie Evans and Fate's Fool by the Mad Reviewer. And this is a non-humorous time travel story that actually wraps things up in the first couple of chapters and then actually continues with to show the life of our new hero afterwards. Which, that's novel because most stories that are time travel basically end once the big bad is done and maybe just a small epilogue that goes on. This, or if they handle the problem really quickly, they're usually either funny, humorous, or just like one shots. This one is just okay. It's a person who's competent, gets stuff done, and then but they still have to deal with the new life that they're dealt, and it gives problems. So that it's interesting to see how they handle them. There's a bunch of drama that gets thrown around with the initial time travel incident, but the relationship building and character moments are what really makes this story interesting instead of distracting away from the action. And it's a good plot with good chemistry between its characters that I would enjoy coming back to again and again. So this is going to stay on my list. Going from that to Hokage Kakashi by Mirror and Image, which is a short one-shot where Kakashi becomes Hokage after Tsunade and the headaches he brings to the many, many people of Konoha. It's really short, simple, and many simple idea of how annoying Kakashi can be and how Team 7 really learned how to deal with him and making everybody else learn to deal with his mistakes too. I enjoy this a lot, and it's going to stay on my list. Alright, number 3 for this video is called Wand and Shield by Morta's Priest. And this is another Harry Potter crossover, this time with the Avengers. And basically, again, Harry, after the events of canon, ends up jumping worlds and gets transplanted into a baby MCU, which diverges rapidly thanks to his inclusion. The problem with this story is I just got really bored. Having, Harry terrorize S.H.I.E.L.D. by teleporting into the Helicarrier and stealing Fury's phone while passively flirting with Black Widow all the time, should be more enjoyable than the story was. I can't pinpoint exactly what it was, but I just grew tired of it really quickly and just wanted to move on. It has some interesting ideas, especially because this story was published back in 2012, and its last update was 2015. So this is basically being made during phase 2 of the MCU. But really, the character most of it was written before many of the movies of phase 2. And it introduces a lot of elements like AIM and Ant-Man in different ways from how the MCU actually introduces them. So it's interesting and a good time capsule to go back and see how people thought, or ways that they saw that the MCU could have evolved. But it just could not keep my interest, and it's going to fall off my list. Right. Next is another Harry Potter crossover, this time with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, called Prince of Death by the Potters of the Future. And this is Harry's Hades' son, and he ends up at Camp Half-Blood and then goes to Hogwarts. This is another story where I didn't give enough of a shit to keep reading. It's just the chapters are short and it is complete, but my eyes just glazed over as I was reading this, and I can't recall anything of that story. I'm reading my thing as I'm saying this so I could see it, but the only point that stuck out was that the summary is all about there's a nice Petunia, she doesn't abuse Harry and all that stuff, and it makes a big point of it, but like she becomes irrelevant because like she's only there for like the first 5 chapters, and then she just drops him off at Camp Half Blood, and she's never seen again. So yeah, I just did not care about this story at all. This is so I think you could skip this without worry. It has 2 sequels, one of which is going to be on my list as well, and so will probably be dropped when it appears as well. And yeah, this one's not staying on my list. Going back to the Harry Potter Avengers, we have Man of Iron, Father of Gold by Lunabelle Marauder Knight. And this is a story where Harry gets de-aged and turned into a child and then adopted by Tony Stark right before the events of the Avengers movie. And it's basically just a nice bit of character fluff as cute little Harry melts Tony's heart, and the two become a very quick, very close family very quickly. It's basically, if you just want some waff and sweetness where Harry gets the childhood he deserves while also battling a couple aliens, this is for you, and it's going to stay on my list. God, like this 2-pack is a lot of Harry Potter stuff, because now we got more child Harry stuff with The Savior, Child of the TARDIS, Son of a Madman by Black Cat Kuroi, which is a Doctor Who crossover with Harry Potter, where Harry gets raised by the 10th Doctor. The 10th Doctor, who picks him up a little bit after, I want to say after the events of Waters of Mars. It's basically the next canon thing would have been the end. I don't remember the name of the thing at the end of the one where he dies. Like, it was right before that adventure. And there's a bunch of stuff to be had here, because Harry shows up, they go on a bunch, like a couple original adventures, and then we get that fight with the Master where Harry saves the 10th Doctor's life, which got bonus points for me because the 10th Doctor is my favorite Doctor, and I really enjoyed David Tennant's performance and stuff, and this story was really fun, and we get a bunch of people coming back like Jack and Rose, while creating many new aliens to tussle with. Unfortunately, the fact that like this had so many adventures and stuff, it leads to the fact that it never finished, it never finished the Harry Potter story. But there's a lot of Doctor Who adventures to enjoy here, and if you're a fan of Doctor Who, I think you'll like this a lot, and it's gonna stay on my list. And now, the final story for this set is Secrets and Lies by Saddle Soap Opera, which is a sequel to the Pony Psychology series that this author had done, which was on my list, and it was actually its own video. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of the videos previously. So if you don't remember, the Pony Psychology series was six separate stories, which really should have just been one with 6 chapters, each one focusing on like a mental trauma of each of the characters in of the main 6 from My Little Pony. And this is a follow-up which basically acts as like a season finale. So it's like a multi-part episode season finale that we would get, that's more focused on just the mental stresses of each of the main characters, and getting them poked and prodded at, so they basically go to tear each other apart. It's suitably dramatic and constantly pokes at the various traumas while still being very fascinating to read. It is not, I guess, grim. It's not like, it's dark in a sense where it's just like going into things where there's talks about suicide, depression, and like murder is there, and there's like a whole bunch of things like that. I do think it's interesting and novel, and a good follow-up to the Pony Psychology series. If you like that series, you will enjoy this, and it's going to stay on my list. And there we have it. Second video for today. Again, fanfiction status time. We have now read 731 stories. and 356 of them have stayed on my list. I really hope to pick up the pace, because if I'm going at the pace I'm currently at, this is going to go on for another 4 years, and I do not want that to happen. I do want to pick up the pace and get this done. Hopefully, I think even if, unless I picked it up super fast, it's gonna take at least another year and a half. Even if I did it at the rate of a story a day, it's still gonna take a year and a half. But I really hope to get that done. As always, links to all these stories are in the description down below, as well as a whole bunch of other links that you should feel free to check out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.